This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. And we welcome you in to another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. We really appreciate your support over the, about a couple of 1.5 years to 2 years now that we've been doing this. Many episodes and many interesting conversations with many interesting people. Of course, we wouldn't be here without you and your support and all of our sponsors. The Lemp Mansion in St. Louis. Not only is it haunted, you can find out for yourself by staying overnight. They have amazing meals and lunches and events and fun things going on. We also would like to thank Team Jakey, who is helping end the stigma of mental illness in St. Louis. Their own family tragedy led to this. So we'll be talking about that. STL Medical Weight Loss. Feel the Dr. Joe difference. He's terrific. And of course, Logan Janis, one of the hosts of the Mostly Superheroes podcast, and also the person who puts everything together for us per episode. And we appreciate Logan so much. Today, we are talking about something that, many of you who might know me or follow me know that I do like to wine, like to have a glass of wine here and there. In fact, one of my favorite sayings is Mama loved a grape, right? Mama loves the grape. But I thought it was interesting because I paid a visit out to Napa a number of years ago, and I look in my wine collection and I see all these names of men, and I'm like, aren't there more women who drink wine than men? And how are women doing in the wine industry? Well, we thought we'd find out by inviting our next guest on. Please welcome Ashley Burnett. She is the president of winewomen.org, which is an organization which hopefully helps advance women in the wine industry. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure, Randy. Thanks for asking me to join.
Of course. And, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, let's think of a lot of these really names in wine that many people know just by name. Back in the day, Ernest and Julio Gallo, Mogan David, Coppola Wines, and even Charles Shaw, mostly men's names. Women haven't really been at the forefront in the wine industry since the beginning, have they?
Not on the forefront. I think a lot of women have been involved in the wine industry for quite some time in different capacities. I did work for Kathy Corson, who is a leader in the wine industry and a woman. And she was one of the first women to even be allowed to work in a winery back in the 60s, 70s. And back in the day, it was women weren't even recognized as able to work in a winery because they would, it was manual labor, having to haul hoses around and make the wine. So it's been some pioneers and some women who trailblazed that path for future generations. And now we're in a different place today. But we still have some room to go.
Yeah, and you talk about Kathy Corson. I looked her up and did some research. She is called literally the first lady of Napa Valley, basically, because she pioneered women in wine in that particular region. She's been at it for 40 years. And now you head up and you're the president of winewomen.org. Tell me, and that is out in the West Coast. You are out in the wine region. Tell me
Correct.
What winewomen.org does and what is your end goal?
So Wine Women, and you can find us at winewomen.org. We are a registered nonprofit. Our mission is to support the professional advancement of women within the wine industry. We are primarily focused at this time in Napa and Sonoma counties. So we have events and have members all the way up from Healdsburg, which is North Sonoma, down to South Sonoma, over to downtown Napa, and then up to Calistoga. So that is our main region that we focus in. We do this through membership, but we also, a lot of our programs, most of our programs are open to the public. We have so many events that we put on, from happy hours where it's really easy for people to meet and connect, and it's not a lot of pressure on people, to workshops, speaker series, more enrichment programs and educational programs so that people can leave feeling like they have something. And then we also have a scholarship that is open to members and non-members. We also have forums, which are roundtable groups that are based on a profession. So, for example, we have a winemakers forum, two GM forums, a finance forum. We have a new DDC forum that's starting. So these are groups that meet independently and have a leader, and they choose when, where, how to meet, and what topics to discuss. So, a couple different ways.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I read a stat according to the Beverage Information Group. 52% of women prefer wine compared to 20% of women, and women make up 59% of wine buyers. So that to me is incredible. Whereas women consume and purchase more wine, but they're not really at the forefront of the wine business. Obviously, that's changing. And you mentioned Kathy Corison back in she wasn't allowed to be in the wine business then because it was manual labor, but there's so much more than lifting barrels and being out in the field and testing the grapes. Tell us what what the job entails.
It entails a lot more than people realize.
Yeah.
When you're drinking a bottle of wine, you are drinking so much goes, so many people, so many processes and thoughts went into making that wine. From viticulture, so the earth where they're planting the vines, what kind of varietal is it, what vintage it is, what kind of soil, what kind of sunshine, what kind of rain happened that year, when are they pruning, how are they pruning? I mean, there's so much that goes into just the farming itself to enology, which is the science of winemaking. There's a whole science behind it. If you go into a winery, you'll often see a lab, a chemical lab there, where they're testing wine as it's going along for tannins and acid and pH balances and Brix levels, which is sugar levels. And the winemaker it's like an artist. They are
Yeah.
in there creating something from juice. And so hopefully it's good juice. Hopefully it was a good year, and hopefully you have a great winemaker and they're creating something from what that vintage yield or what it gave to them. So, and then it goes into the barrels and what type of barrels they use, how long it's being aged, is it still tanks, which I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
I don't even know it. I don't know it all. I'm learning constantly, constantly. And so it's a never ending journey of knowledge. And I live in the wine industry, and we're always, to taste wine it's fun. You can not be pretentious about it. You can just geek out on it. You can just sit with a friend. I think we all do this to some sort, and taste it, smell it. And what are you getting? Do you like this one? Which one do you prefer? That's all you need to be a wine taster.
Yeah, and so many people think there's some pretentiousness attached to it where, oh, you're not supposed to have white wine with a steak. My philosophy is if you like it, drink it. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what what at the end of the day, it's what you like. You're the one drinking the wine. If you like white wine with your steak, drink white wine with your steak. It's all personal preference. A lot of it is just, there are certain rules that people have stuck in their head, and there's certain people that like to give recommendations that they think are the best. But at the end of the day, you're the one drinking the wine. Do you like
Okay.
it?
Yeah. If you like it, ice cubes in your Pinot Grigio. Oh no. If you like it colder, throw cubes in there. It's okay. Enjoy it how you want.
We want people to drink wine, period. That's what we want. The
Yeah.
wine industry wants people to love wine, see it as a way to we want people to see it as a way to celebrate, as a way to unwind at the end of the day, as something that you could drink on the couch while you're watching rom-coms, and something that you open up on an anniversary that's really special. We
Yeah.
want wine for every occasion, and however you drink it, that's how we want it.
And it looks like that's really where it's going. And I don't know what the demographics are attached to wine drinking. I mean, I've always enjoyed wine. We have a very, not a large collection, but we like to drink. I love the stories, the provenance, the stories behind the families behind the wines. We had the pleasure of visiting Napa a number of years ago. And, we went to the Camises and we went to the Duckhorns, and we saw all the big names, and it was really great just to learn the stories of the families and how these grapes got here. I want to ask you, it seems like every year there's a trend in wine. Where one year it was Pinot Grigio, another year it was a deep cab, another year it's a light rosé, it's a prosecco. What is new in wine? What can we be seeing at showers and gatherings?
Yes, that's a great question, right? There's always trends.
Yeah, there is.
You mentioned two of them, which I think so rosé was trending for a while, and now rosé is not trending as much, but bubbles are trending. So people want to open bubbles for every occasion. I say bubbles because champagne is made in Champagne, France. Sparkling wine is here in California, but we have amazing sparkling bubbles from Schramsberg to Domaine Carneros to Chandon. So you can get amazing domestic bubbles, and they're great for everything from a brunch with your girlfriends to a wedding, and everybody loves bubbles. So I'd say that's definitely not going to go anywhere, and that's going to keep expanding. One thing too is we're trying to get wine in more casual settings and on a more regular basis. So I'm seeing more wineries put like premium wineries put their wine in boxes and cans. They want you to be drinking wine, out on a picnic easier, so we really want wine to be more accessible. So I'm seeing a little bit of a trend and more accessible ways to drink wine.
You mentioned cans and boxes. I know people who say, "Oh no, that can't be good if it's coming out of a can or a box." And I've seen people go, "If it's a screw top rather than a cork, it can't be good." Tell me why it's okay to consume that.
Yeah, they've done studies. There really isn't that much difference between having a screw top and a cork. Of course, cork is a natural product. It's, traditional. And, there's certain ways it may help with the ageability, but at the end of the day, a screw top is great. Just, most people don't age their wines too. If you're somebody who buys wine and you drink it that night or within a month or so, you're not aging your wines. You don't have to worry about that cork.
Yeah.
When it comes to canned wines, some people don't like the metallic kind of vibe that it gives the wine. So that is something that's kind of hit or miss with like maybe more wine snobs. But especially like a cold wine in a cold can, there's something very refreshing and picnic about that, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And when it goes to boxed wine, there are really, really great boxed wines now, phenomenal. And you will get a great value in that wine, and that wine will stay fresh for so long. So, like for example, Matthiasen is a very small local winery that makes very lower alcohol, less intervention, more natural wines. Very respected winemaker, and he's a very good viticulturalist as well. So really into the earth and nature. And they've actually just started putting some of their white wines into a box. And everybody in Napa, this was just brought into social media like a couple days ago. We're all geeking out on it. We all
Oh,
want a
wonderful.
Matthiasen wine box. So it's okay to drink wine in a box. Completely fine.
Hi, everyone. It's Randy Naughton from the More to Say podcast with another sponsor shout out. When is the last time you've been to the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis? Did you know it is one of the most haunted places in all of North America with an incredible history? It's a beautiful building, first of all, and they've got so many events. When's the last time you've been there? They've got boozy bingo, holiday brunches, events like weddings and parties, a scavenger hunt, overnight stays, if you dare, Spirit with the Spirit tours, and their legendary all-you-can-eat family-style fried chicken dinners on Sundays. It's amazing. So listen, check it out on their website at lempmansion.com. We thank them for supporting our More to Say podcast, and I'll see you at the Lemp. Hi, Randy Naughton here, along with Dr. Joseph Molesky, to tell you about St. Louis Medical Weight Loss. You heard about those weight loss shots? Well, I battle high blood pressure, cholesterol, and prediabetes, so I decided to invest in my health.
Visit stlmedweightloss.com or give us a call.
Hi, everyone. It's Randy Naughton from the More to Say podcast. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast over the tons of episodes we've done so far. Somebody I want to shout out specifically to is an organization called Team Jakey. They are one of the sponsors of the More to Say podcast, and I couldn't be more grateful to be partnering with them. What is Team Jakey? Well, this family, the Zeller family, knows all too well what it's like to lose somebody to suicide. So that happened to them. their beloved Jake, took his own life. And what they want to do, they've set out on a quest to end the stigma of mental illness. So Team Jakey puts together all these amazing community events year round to help raise the awareness and prevent suicide and end the stigma of mental illness. So we would love it if you followed them on Facebook, Team Jakey and the Stigma. And of course, thank you for supporting the More to Say podcast as well. Team Jakey is one of our partners, and we are so happy to have them on board. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the podcast.
Hey, it's Logan from Mostly Superheroes, the podcast, here with a very special announcement. July, we at the Alamo movie screenings with our Mostly Superheroes Screen and Social, and see Fantastic Four First Steps with us in the big show, July 26th. Really great time to be a fan of this podcast who really got its start on movies like these. Learn more about that at mostlysuperheroes.com/events. That's mostlysuperheroes.com/events.
So I want to ask you, Ashley Burnett, president of winewomen.org, if you're pouring a glass just to unwind after a day, what are you drinking? What's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, great question. So this is the ultimate question, right? What's your favorite wine, especially living in Napa?
Right.
So I will say it changes constantly. It depends on my mood. It depends on how sunny it is outside. It depends on who I'm with, where I am, if I'm eating. But right now, I've been really into wines that are outside of Napa and Sonoma because I live there. So I actually get a little exhausted of Napa wines. Don't tell anybody, but
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
fair.
love really geeky wines. I love trying wines that are outside of California. I've been really into trying, Georgian wines from the country, Georgia, Croatian wines, and you can actually get really good value for those. So if you go to Napa and you want to get a really nice red wine, it's going to cost you a minimum $40, typically $60, $75. And that's not my budget. I drink wine so often that I need to make sure that I'm not, going broke. So I really like to look for regions like, in Italy or Spain or France. I mean, Italy and Spain can still be kind of expensive, but Croatian or some really cool little nooks like Portuguese wine. And you can find some really good high value wines, and they're more interesting to me. Like I like to be intrigued when I'm drinking a glass of wine.
And you mentioned the price point. I know somebody said, oh, that's only a $12 bottle of wine. It can't be good. Is that true?
Not necessarily. So I think what's really great, if you need help with this, because most people go to a wine shop or look at the wine aisle and they just see hundreds of wines.
It's
Just,
confusing. Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
what
you're
do I
like,
pick?
I don't even, what's the difference between, Pinot and a Merlot? Like, which one would I prefer? I don't know. And some people just go by the label and the price, which, hey, you know what? That's what we got to do sometimes. But I think if people want to take a step back a little bit and they're really excited to go out and find a good high value wine, is to go to a wine shop and go to even a Trader Joe's. The people that work in a Trader Joe's, that they usually have a wine person, or go to like a Whole Foods and go to their wine person and ask them. They love giving advice, and chances are they've had a lot more wine than you have, and they know where those high value wines are. But
Oh, great.
my favorite thing is to go support like a local wine shop. The people who own them are so sweet, and they just enjoy sharing their knowledge and hooking you up with a great deal.
Yeah, not to mention the fact a lot of these places have free wine tastings. So you can go and you can learn and hear the stories and get a little taste and understand, oh, I don't like that. It's too dry, it's too sweet. So you really get a chance to kind of understand what it's all about, where it came from. I do want to ask you about a few years ago, the Napa region and that area was devastated by a bunch of wildfires. And I understand many winemakers tried feverishly to salvage the grapes or what they could, or the vines or whatever. And they even tried to bring in some wines with some smoky flavor because of the fires. How has that region rebounded, if at all? What percentage are we? Are we back up to snuff? And the wine quality, has it suffered because of it?
So there are some wineries that didn't come back, unfortunately. Most wineries have rebuilt, and to go and be a patron would be amazing. You know, we want to
Yeah.
support our community. Napa is a very strong community too. It is very, very well connected. Everybody knows everybody and everybody supports each other and sharing. You know, if a winery burned down, another winery will offer their tanks or offer, you know, their juice, and everybody will try to help them, you know, keep a winery or keep the vintages going. But for example, 2017 was fairly bad. Some people are cautious to drink wine from a certain vintage because they just assume that it's going to have a smoke taint, but that's not really fair. I would say every winery or any winery that produced a wine during a vintage where there was fires, they stand behind that wine. Those wines have been sent to labs to be tested for any traceability of any type of smoke taint. And I know every winery and winemaker takes a lot of pride in what they're putting out into the market. They would never put anything out that wouldn't be up to the highest standards. So I would say I've actually done a tasting with some, you know, tasting smoke tainted wine and whatnot. And it tastes like a barbecue, like a smoky barbecue chip that, you know, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think most winemakers are, you know, really want to, have their wine have a lot of smoky qualities. I wouldn't say that usually was not what they're going for. But I would say that wineries are doing better. Most have been rebuilt. Come to Napa, support us. We're back and better than ever, even post-pandemic. And trust, you know, the bottles that you're drinking to know that they've been tested thoroughly and the winemaker stands behind them 110%.
That's some great nuggets. And I do want to get back to women in wine and the four women coming up from the forefront. Of course, Kathy Corson, one of the pioneers of women in the wine industry. Are there more and more women partaking? In what positions are they involved? And can we see an influx of more, hopefully, familiar names with female names on the labels?
100%. I mean, we're growing. We are now, it's funny, I live in a world of women in wine. So for me, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But when you really take a step back, you see that there's still a lot more to go. You know, to see female winemakers, female CEOs and GMs running tasting rooms. It's very common in Napa, but it's still traditionally was a man's role. And so as any position or any role or any job out there that has been traditionally more of a male dominated role, it does take quite some time.
Decades. It takes decades.
It does take decades. It's going to take a long time. But I will say that support for women in the wine industry is strong. Everybody wants to jump on board and help wine women. There are quite a few other women-focused nonprofits, which are amazing as well, such as Batonage, Women for Wine Sense, Women in Wine and Spirits, that their mission is to support women in the wine industry as well. So I'm seeing a lot of movement. There's a lot of women who I look up to who, because of the work that they put in to open the doors for my generation, we have a lot of respect for them. And there's always really fun activities and ways for us to connect with them. They're great speakers at events. We do some tastings that highlight them. They're super approachable and they really want to help other women get up into the wine industry. Going back to Kathy, her daughter Grace, who was in her late 20s, she will be taking over the winery someday and she will be the winemaker. So it's really cool to see that generationally it's being passed down now. And sometimes it takes a generation too, where now women are stepping in because maybe there's no sons. The Mondavis it's 4 sisters right now, and they're the ones making the wine. So it's, you know, and it just happened that there were no sons. So here we are, we're coming in and we're doing all the work. We're out in the vineyard, making the wine, managing the winery, doing it all. There's nothing that can stop women.
So if there's a young woman watching or listening to this podcast right now and they're going, you know what, that kind of sounds like something I'd want to do. There's a lot to it. And they're going to be going to school. They're going to college. What classes should they start with? Business, science, biology, agriculture? You tell me.
Yeah, you have some great questions. I love
Thank you.
these. So this is great information. So there's a couple different ways to get into wine education. So you can decide to study something like viticulture and enology and go that whole route, like UC Davis and Cal Poly and other areas. They have great wine. Fresno State have great like wine courses and types of those you can take. But say you're not in those areas and you just want to learn more, you can just take a wine education class. See if your college or a school around you has any type of just base level, just basic wine education. You can actually take the WSET, WSET. There's WSET 1, 2, 3 diploma, and so on. You can become a master of wine. And if you want to just get basic wine 101, you can go online and you can research WSET 1, see if there is a place around you that teaches it in person. And I believe they still teach it online too. So that's an option for you. I skipped and went right into WSET 2 because WSET 1 is really basic. So if you already know a good deal about wine, you can actually skip WSET 1, you can go straight into WSET 2.
Well, that's some good
And
info
that
right
looks,
there.
yeah, and that looks really good on a resume. So for example, I meet people often, people want, to be introduced to me so I can help connect them in the wine industry. And they're these very, very smart people who have been in the tech industry for 10 years or these other massive industries, but they're trying to pivot into the wine industry. And it's really challenging because the wine industry is very tight knit.
Yeah.
And you might have, 15 years in DTC marketing, but if it's not anything to do with wine, there's a lot of caution between letting somebody in and thinking that they're just going to come in and do it a certain way.
Right.
So I would say anybody who's interested in getting into the wine industry, just having your WSET is good because then people know you're taking it seriously. You're not just somebody who's like, I like wine. And then
that would totally be me.
Yeah, most people are. And, honestly, most people still be fine. But I just think it's good to have anything on your resume if it is something that you're looking to get into professionally.
Okay, this is some great information. Ashley Burnett is the president of winewomen.org. They're working hard and working tirelessly to advance the idea of more women in the wine industry. After all, more women purchase and drink wine than anybody. So why not, right? It only makes sense. So thank you for joining us. I so appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone supporting More to Say with Randy Naughton. Of course, our sponsors, the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, Team Jakey, who is a great organization hoping to end the stigma of mental illness, STL Medical Weight Loss, feel the power and feel the difference with Dr. Joe, and Mostly Superheroes podcast with our podcast partner, Logan Janis. Thanks so much for joining us today. Until next time.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.